Today's show is brought to you by...
This program is made possible by the checkbook of Mr. Todd Burns and by contributions to our newly launched Patreon by viewers like you. Visit patreon.com/homebrew happy hour and join our community. Thank you.
Entertaining shows with content that spreads information and sparks discourse throughout the community. This is the Pearl Media Network.
Hello there and welcome to the Homebrew Happy Hour. This is the show where we supply the answers to your homebrewing questions and discuss all things related to craft beer. If you have a question you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, visit homebrewhappyhour.com and click on the submit a question link at the top of the page, or now you can call or text them in by using 325-305-6107. I am your host, Joshua Stubing, and today I am joined. It's a special episode. We do this every now and then, one of those homebrewer showcase ones where we're featuring amazing people in our community who are doing and brewing amazing stuff. I kind of rhymed there, doing and brewing. Joining me is Sadler. She's a homebrewer out of Southern California. She's a member of the SoCal Cerveceros, and you can follow all the cool things she's doing in the homebrewing realm on her Instagram as @TylersBrew. Sadler, thank you so much for joining me on the show.
Hi, thank you for having me. This is so exciting.
Only minor hiccups at the beginning where I flubbed before we actually started, so I don't know if I have to count that as a flub.
Oh, no, but I think that whole intro, I've listened to the show a lot and just watching you do it live, very impressive.
You know, buttering me up from the beginning is a really good strategy. Like
I said, I listen to the show a lot. I know how it works.
I like it. Real quick, before we get into it, Tyler, I want to, I'll do this solo shot here, address, we haven't had a couple of episodes the last couple of weeks, just to catch y'all up to speed in case, I don't want to be so narcissistic to assume y'all all follow us on social media, which if you don't, why don't you? How old are you? But, Todd had his surgery thing, and then the 1 week we recorded early because I had my own procedure. Don't feel sorry for me. But 2 weeks ago, my daughter, who we've talked about on the show before, has epilepsy. Poor girl. It turns out it may not have just been epilepsy. She had a really bad seizure this Saturday, the 14th. And we ended up spending a week in the hospital where they found a brain tumor. And long story short, because I don't want to go through the whole thing, praise God, it is benign. It was all removed from a craniotomy, and she's recovering well. Those of you, we did receive, between my friends, my family, and a lot of listeners, I've received way more messages than I could ever reply to. So please know all your prayers, your thoughts, and good vibes that y'all sent my way, they were received. I cannot thank you enough. I have a really hard time taking things serious. And in the middle of when this was happening, I was like, oh my God, I can take things serious. And so if you ever want to know what it looks like for me to take something serious, just throw me in the middle of something really serious. And it turns out I can. But anyway, so I am so sorry that you were on the comeback episode. So I have to make you awkwardly sit through all of that.
No, that's okay. I do follow your social media, obviously, and sent some messages. I'm just happy everything's working out positively. So
thank you. I do appreciate that. Yeah, you did reach out, and I do appreciate that. A lot of people did, and it's great. And that's a great segue for social media. That is actually how I found you and the things you're doing. Before, again, we dive into everything about you, I just want to say how jealous I am of where you're at, first off, in Southern California. It's Mecca for beer. And it's Mecca for jujitsu, which is one of my favorite hobbies. While we're recording this, the Abu Dhabi Combat Club Championships are going on, and I've got them recorded, or it's on the internet, so it's just on demand anyway. But you're in Mecca for the things I enjoy doing in my life. How is Southern California? How was the craft beer summit, by the way, that just happened?
Oh yeah, that was honestly incredible. So I went there to volunteer, and if you do 2 shifts at the festival, you could get into the summit portion that was earlier in the week. And so I went Friday and went to a couple of the seminars. That was amazing. And then the festival obviously was overwhelming. There's probably 350 breweries. It was all the breweries in California, northern, part all the way to Southern California. So I didn't get to try as many as I wanted to, but I talked to a bunch of people, networked, and tried a lot of good beer. It was fantastic. I definitely recommend it to like everyone,
It looked like it, and I really wish I was supposed to be in California this weekend to go to that combat thing live, but I would have honestly rather maybe have been at that weekend. I follow a ton of people who also, funny enough, I end up following a lot of people who are already in y'all's homebrew club. I don't know how.
Really? Okay.
I don't know how it worked out but I would just notice like, oh, hey, look, there's so-and-so, look, there's Tyler in the background, or look, there's so-and-so and so-and-so's in the background. And y'all all do a real good job of getting yourselves out on social media. That's for sure.
Yeah, there's probably like 150 of us in the club. So definitely, you'll see us all at all the SoCal base events, and, definitely we're all out there being active and drinking beer and, networking and all that stuff. So.
And living in a place with perfect weather all the time. And
yeah, that too.
Yeah, life is hard. No,
where I live specifically is in the valley, and so it actually gets like really, really hot up here. But not too bad. It's still sunny.
Yeah. It gets really hot down here too, and I'm on these antibiotics, so I feel I'm patting my head. Video listeners think I'm some classical Southern woman patting my head.
I was wondering about that.
Oh, it is so hot in my office right now because it just everything's pooping on us right now. Like, it's so hot. My AC in my office here, that unit that's right there, if I can point it, it's crapping out on me. And I have these lights, and so like. It's just a wonderful day. I'm not going to feel sorry for myself. But anyway, I think I said it right. So I'm half Mexican. So I think I got that out when I said the SoCal Cerveceros.
Yes.
The little emblem I use for you, though, is the Cerveceras, which is like the female faction of it. So if you don't mind, let's start. I want to start at the club part, even though in the notes I kind of put that towards the end, only because I'm fascinated because y'all's club seems as tight knit as I've ever seen any club. Y'all do life together, basically. Y'all have the same interest. Explain the parent club, the SoCal Cerveceros, and like the structure of it, and just what y'all do in y'all's community of homebrewers.
Yeah, sure. So. Actually, you did the pronunciation, perfectly. A lot of people just don't get it right. But yeah, SoCal Cerveceros, it was started by a few guys a few years ago. I'm not sure what the exact date is, but our current president, Ray Rivera, and a few guys started it back in the day as like a mostly like predominantly Latino-based homebrew club. So that was kind of like the foundation of what it started, because they wanted to make a club that was, more inclusive and kind of more geared towards like the minority homebrewers. And, SoCal is so big, but we have, 150 members, and it's spread out, from San Diego all the way to the Inland Empire, all the way to LA. So, Orange County. So there's a bunch of us involved. And, even though was kind of based off of predominantly Latino, like everyone in there is from different backgrounds. Like right now it's, big enough that there's, people from different race and, gender, etc. So that was kind of how it started. And now, I started, my first meeting was back in March of this year, and I've been super, super into it ever since. You follow my Instagram, and I'm like with them all the time. So it's fun. It's a lot of fun. Like, I definitely recommend for anyone homebrewing, just look in their community if there's any clubs, and, kind of go to a couple meetings, fill out the vibe. I think with SoCal Cerveceros, I just went to the first meeting and kind of felt really welcomed, and everyone, we kind of like meshed well together. So it was love at first sight, basically.
That's awesome. I love, because you say, there's 150 members, give or take. It seems like y'all all show up at every meeting. Like, because some homebrew clubs will be like, oh yeah, we're 100 strong, and you look at the meetings and like 8 of us showed up, but we got 100 on the book. But y'all are like, we have 150 members, and if I were to count some of those photos and again, y'all, it's almost like every week someone in your club's brewing something. If y'all aren't having a collective brew day, everyone shows up. It's like a family type event. That's like as good as it gets for a club, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's very, very like family. It feels like a family. So I think that's why everyone, will make the drive, an hour, 2 hours if they need to. And that's always a good time. And yeah, every like yesterday when I was telling you I had a long day, it started at 6 with me helping someone, or I didn't really help. I kind of more watched them brew. And then we all went to the club brew day, which you probably saw yesterday. And so that was like 2 brew days in one. So it was like, whew, exhausting, but very fun.
Exhausting. Yeah. I am a master of watching helping. I'm the best at that. Like I've helped, again, air quotes, James a lot.
Yeah.
When my dad and I started brewing together is when I was like, oh crap, I gotta do stuff now because he doesn't know what he's doing. But as soon as I get my dad knowing what he's doing, I can go back to helping and watching. I'm great
Yeah,
at that.
I'm still learning, so I want to observe as much as I can still. And there's people that have been brewing for 10 years, there's people that have been brewing for 2 years, so there's, people all along the kind of like experience spectrum, but everyone's passionate about home brewing and beer. So that's kind of how we all connect.
Brewing is a great unifier in my experience, and having a club that's open to teaching the new people is super important because I think we've said it on the show. There's 99.5% of everyone in the community is so chill, so welcoming, and so warming. If you start into brewing and you interact with that 0.5, whether it's some snobby homebrew shop or homebrew club, you'll never want to brew again, right? Because it is an intimidating endeavor to get into already. And so if you already just get that bad vibe, like, oh, no one wants to help me, well, then you know what? I don't even want to do it. And that's not the goal. Like, I genuinely think that we should want everyone to brew. I mean, it's in our best interest, right? To spread craft beer.
Definitely. I mean, yeah, being a girl, it's totally, totally intimidating. Like, and I think I just had to just, be courageous, ask for help. And, most guys are super open and welcome to helping me out. So it's cool. It's cool. It's a good vibe. Like you said, the community is very helpful and nice. And at the end of the day, like, it's just beer.
It totally. And it is cool. We've had a lot of women guests on the show. And I remember Annie Johnson, who's with Pico Brew, real nice lady, even though she doesn't remember me. And I've had to reintroduce myself 25 times. Love you, Annie. She doesn't listen to this show anyway. But
I might have met her at the summit because I remember I went by there and I met a woman there.
I'm sure Pico was there. She's super nice. She's their head brewer. But when we interviewed her at a homebrew con in Baltimore, which might have been homebrew con 2016, she had just given a brief history of, brewing traditionally was a woman's thing to do. And somehow it kind of switched to being this manly thing. I mean, it's just cooking, right? It's cooking and a lot of janitorial.
Yeah. A lot of cleaning, a lot of spraying things down and scrubbing. So
yeah, it's not very glamorous, but the end result is fun. And like you said, like the thing I love about brewing with my dad, or, if we had a club to grow, or when I go to club brew days, that's my favorite thing is the community part of it. Cause brewing is rewarding in of itself, but community is much more enjoyable. Doing it together with someone is much more enjoyable than just, I'm going to sit on my stovetop. And like, I almost feel like a borderline alcoholic when I brew by myself, just cause I'm like, I want that booze, but I don't need it with anyone else. I just want that booze. But community, joking aside, because I see y'all, I won't hold it against you. Y'all go to LAFC games together, which is an MLS team for listener. You don't see it on my social. Well, Austin is about to get an MLS team. So I'll have a home team to root for. I'm a very low key Houston Dynamo fan, but it's not. I know. Oh, trust me, I know. There was a few seasons where I'm like, hey, remember me, guys? I'm a Houston Dynamo fan. I'm trying not to be a fair weather fan, but I don't. I hardly go to any games because it's a few hour drive, and it's just been a while since I've ever been a diehard for anything. When Austin gets their MLS team going, which I think is in 2021.
Oh, really? Okay.
I think it's 2021. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So then I'll be able to, cry for my local team. But LAFC is killing it this season. That's why.
They're killing it. I started following them last season when they started their inaugural season, and ever since then they've just been like mind-blowingly, like I think they're the best team now in the MLS in their second season. So
Yeah. Let's talk about something else. No, I do. Now that we talk, I wanted to get the club stuff out first, just because I find it so interesting. But let's rewind to your background as a home brewer, your interest. Let's start from the beginning. Like, what got you into brewing? What got you into craft beer, and where that led to how you or where you're at right now.
sure, yeah. So I guess when it comes to home brewing, last year, like early last year, I don't know. I kind of don't remember where the initial like spark or thought came from, but it came from somewhere. And so I started looking into it, going on YouTube and stuff. And I'm like, I wonder what it takes to like make, beer. And I come from a kind of a crafty background. Like my dad always gets obsessed with, you know, making weird, like he has weird random obsessions that he'll get, but they're all kind of crafty. So I remember texting him about it and they're like, that's cool. My brother was like, hey, my friend, he got a beer brewing kit from this place. I don't know what it's from, but I'll let you know when I find out. And of course it was Northern Brewer.
Awesome.
Like he was like, yeah, go to Northern Brewer. I checked it out and I was like, yeah, let me just get this kit as like $100 or whatever extract kit, amber ale. So it was actually January of last year, and I was doing dry January, and I was like, well,
you and Todd does the same thing. I don't believe in it.
I believe in it just because I was like, let me just take a break just for personal reasons. I had a crazy 2016, so let me. So I got the kit and made my first batch and kind of fell in love from that first initial, and that's when I started my Instagram Tyler's Brew, because I had a personal one, but I was like, let me make a beer one because all my friends don't really want to look at beer stuff on Instagram. But yeah, I made that first batch and I just became really into it. And craft beer is different. Like I started drinking Lagunitas. I guess that's probably technically the first craft beer I started drinking. But I actually started drinking it just because we'd go out and, cocktails were like $14. And I was like, maybe I'll just drink this like really strong beer instead and, just pay like $7 to $10.
Right.
So that's kind of how I started drinking IPA. And I didn't even know it was craft beer, honestly, back then. I just was like, okay, this beer is like pretty good. It's bitter. It's, everyone's like, oh, IPA is so bitter now. Everyone's like obsessed with IPAs. That was like probably a few years ago. But my craft beer like knowledge, I guess, kind of more started once I started homebrewing, just because I was looking into more styles and asking around too, asking friends and stuff like, what should I drink? What breweries should I go to? And, I started looking around in my own neighborhood for breweries, and there was one like right up the street. This one called McLeod, and they're kind of more expanding their horizons, but at the time they were more focused on English style beers. So that was cool. I never really drank like, specifically English style, and started going there and started really getting into that, their beers, and then just started seeing that LA had so many breweries. So yeah, I think that's kind of just how it started. And, just being this homebrew club has obviously like made that like explode way more. And my mind's just been open to way too many beers. It's like overwhelming at this point.
It's a rabbit hole that goes super deep.
It's super deep. Yeah.
I love it's, I mean, the traditional story of my first extract kit, like that is so common. And I love though how, regardless of who it's from, I think it's okay to like Northern again. I heard because they sold again. Like people on Reddit, especially, which two things. Reddit, just like me. I want Reddit to like me so bad. But two, like. People love pooping on them. I know the guys at Northern, at least the ones that come to the show, they're good guys. But I hear it's okay to like them again, so I'll say their name. But whether it's from Northern or from Tech Connection or from whomever, I love that extract brewing experience that just flips a switch on so many people to just be like, man, this is enjoyable. I'm assuming you bottled that first batch.
Yes, I did. So that was probably the most difficult part, bottling tedious. And I actually was bottling my beers probably up until this year. So I finally got kegs, and then I bought a regulator and stuff from Keg Connection. Thank you very much. But yeah, bottling is, I thought it was cool, and then it just became a nightmare. But yeah, I bottled that first batch and was doing like 50 bottles per batch. Because I thought too at the beginning, like 5-gallon batches was like the only, only size you could do. And then thankfully I discovered like 1 gallon and 3 gallon. But yeah, those first couple batches were definitely tough.
Bottling's not my go-to, but also real quick, I get $1 every time we say Keg Connection. So I'm just gonna.
Oh, really?
No, of course not. No, you kidding me? I pay Todd for this now. Yeah, that Keg kit. I do remember now because I remember you tagging. That might have been.
Mm-hmm.
I'd already followed your account. And then I saw you tag Keg Connection, and I was like, I think I used you as an example. Like, look, Todd, look, people like Keg Connection still. We're still around.
Yeah, you guys have good prices. I still, buy things here and there from them. So
yeah, it is more than anything, it's just cool to see people kegging and brewing. Obviously, I'd be remiss if I didn't admit like I'm biased, but I'm really not, in the sense of like bottling's just terrible. Like I just don't like it. I'm bottling right now. My dad and I are about to bottle some Kolsch using the Blickman beer gun. I've never used it. It looks cool. So we're gonna bottle from the keg later today when I go over there. But bottling just isn't what I want to do. And kegging, what is the alternative word for lazy? Like time efficient, or I forget the word I'm looking for, but like I have other things I want to do with my time than washing and sanitizing bottles and priming them. And I like forced carbing. I like getting to the beer. I like enjoying the beer.
Yeah. Like I work full time. So if I don't do it on the weekend, I'm like up until midnight, like breaking my back trying to do all these. So.
For sure. So how does your job and brewing, like, is brewing typically a weekend thing for you only because of work, or?
Definitely. Yeah. It's usually a weekend thing, which, it's kind of a bummer just because, there's other things that I kind of want to get done on the weekend. And my friends are like, so are you brewing today or can we hang out? My friends know I'm completely obsessed with it. So they're probably just like, yeah, she's probably going to brew today. But I always invite people over and they don't want to come. I'm like, come, you can drink some beers and have some, good time with me. But yeah, typically a weekend morning. And I've actually done a couple night brews recently, which has been actually pretty nice because the sun's not like beaming down on my back.
A few people out of the Southern California area I've seen, and they're not necessarily all from your club, are doing night brews a lot lately. I've wondered about that. That's a clever way to brew any night and not die because you're doing outside gas brewing, right?
Yeah, I realized that a lot of the exhaustion from a brew day comes from being in the heat and sun all day. So I typically, if I start by 6, I'm done by midnight and I can just crash. So it's been nice.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's not, it could be worse. And again, brewing, I won't say for me it's therapeutic, but the experience sort of is, you know what I mean? It's very relaxing, very calm.
Yeah, and if I can like sit on my patio, just like, in the nice cool weather and drink a beer, like watch, wait for the wort to boil, it's very therapeutic for me, at least.
Yeah, we will frequently, because there is a lot of waiting around and you have to clean and sanitize stuff. But when we have even the time, my dad and I, if I'm brewing with him, which is typically who I brew with now, we'll play this bad tossing game or washers or drinking beer, enjoy. It's a fun. I would be spending that time some way else anyway that would probably be less productive. I don't know, give or take. I'm a present father. Let me just say that for listeners who want to say my kids are there at the house too. Okay, guys, like before I get the judgy instant messages, well, you could be with your kids. They're there. But yes, I want to. So you started with Etchstrat Brewing. I imagine it was a stovetop kit, just LME or DME, no specialty grains or anything. When did you upgrade? Like, what was your path? Because now I see you're brewing on nice equipment. You've got all grain batches going. Oh, I love the cat. I love it. No, we're not taking that out. That's the best. That's going to be the clip for this week's episode.
I hope she doesn't push a button and then all of a sudden the thing gets disconnected.
I love animals. But what? Let me rewind. When was the jump made from where you started to all grain brewing now? Like, did you join the club and then use other people's equipment and then get your own to all grain, or did you just jump right into all grain after you had maybe got more confidence in the extract? And what equipment are you using even today?
Yeah, so I actually, when I switched to full all grain brewing, was when I discovered like 1 gallon batches. So I kind of took a break last year towards the end of the year from home brewing, just because, like I said, it was like all 5 gallon batches, and I was like, this is exhausting to do by myself. So I started looking into small batch, and I was like, my mind was blown. I was like, wait, this is great. Like, I could just do a little batch. Like, so I started doing brew in the bag on my stovetop with all grain, and was like immediately hooked again, back into the brewing, because I kind of fell off a little bit just because I was like, this is too much. But I started doing all grain, 1 gallon batches on the stovetop, brew in the bag, and I was like, this is amazing. So that was kind of like my introduction into all grain, just doing that. And then, eventually I was like, I want to make bigger batches, and I looked into what do I need to do that. Obviously, I could continue doing brew in the bag, but if I did a 5 gallon brew in the bag and I'm trying to like pick up this heavy, hot bag like all by myself, I don't know if you've seen, people have like pulley systems, and I was like, I can't get into that. So, I started looking into like, mash tuns and all that. And my job actually learned that I home brewed, and they're like, we want to have beer here. So my first all grain 5 gallon batch was actually at my job. They bought all the equipment. I know, it's crazy. My bosses, bought all the equipment, and my first all grain 5 gallon batch was like at my office. And
that's you and I share the same thing. My boss buys all my equipment. This is incredible.
Yeah, they were like, oh, we can have beer on tap. They got a kegerator. Like, it was ridiculous. They throw money at everything. Yeah, sure, cool. I'll do all the labor. So that was really fun. And then eventually I started saving up and I got the cooler and all that stuff for my own self. And so now I use the 10 gallon cooler, typically what everyone uses for the mash. And I have an 8 gallon kettle now from Bayou Classic, which I love. I love that kettle.
Yeah, they have good stuff. Oh, you're good. Again, the cat is more than welcome on the show. It's just getting jealous that it's not about him. That's all. So cooler brewing is what my pop and I do. And it's a lot of people get intimidated by it, but in my opinion, it's very straightforward. And as long as you know your system in regards to like, after your first few batches, you get a good feel for what is my strike? What am I really going for on my temperatures going into a mash or going into the sparge, right? Like my cooler holds well, or my cooler always drops 4 degrees, or once you get those dialed in, it's very straightforward. And I've learned to be honest, it's really with the couple Kolsch batches we've done, and it's hard to screw up a Kolsch, but we've gotten pretty consistent on like, bam, this Kolsch is like dialed in. It's going to taste like this if we do the same recipe, and no real variance either way. Some people worry, I want to get into the all electric because I really, really need to be precise. And that's great if you have the budget for that, right? Like, I don't have a budget for that. Is electric brewing even like something you've ever considered, or are you enjoying the outdoor, like the gas cooler system type of brewing?
Yeah, I mean, I think honestly, it's like you said, it's more of a budget thing. I mean, I've slowly pieced together my system through like Craigslist and OfferUp, and just found like really good deals. An electric brew system would be great if I could afford it, just because, like I said, it gets hot out here. So I mean, and it's like the propane and fire here, like that just adds like 20 more degrees of heat. But I think for now, like where I'm at in terms of like budget and skill, I think what the cooler and propane is definitely the way to go.
Yeah, it is enjoyable. Since your journey and all the batches you've brewed, have you figured out what's your favorite? Like, do you have an in-house recipe style that's your go-to? Like, people know you for, like, hey, Tyler, brew us, insert whatever it is here.
Yeah, I'm trying to get there slowly. I really want to. I really enjoyed making saisons and blonde ales. Like I typically like really like sessionable beers. Nothing too heavy. Kolsch's are, I love Kolsch.
Hey,
Yeah. But yeah, saison and blonde ales, and also I have a porter recipe that I'm working on, like a coffee porter. I don't think I have a recipe down yet that people, quote unquote, know me for. I'm trying to get there with. I think the blonde is going to be like my goal for the end of this year, to get that one down, and have that one just be like my go-to, because it's just a good beer to have on tap, and it's like 5%, pretty easy to drink. But yeah, definitely out of those two, they're probably my favorite, and my favorite to drink as well too.
that's what I was gonna segue right into that, because a lot of people, and myself included, find us brewing what we enjoy drinking. And then there are some brewers though who are like, no, I want to brew everything. And I'm just like, why? Like, like you said, saisons, they are good ish for, I don't dislike them that much. I'm just stupidly stubborn. And like right now I'm just on a kick of like these German, just balanced beers. Like with Oktoberfest too. I don't know if you've been at the craft summit. I'm sure they had plenty of Oktoberfest on tap. I've just been consuming that greatly lately. And
I've had a few recently, because all the breweries have theirs now, like in the stores and even in the breweries. So I've had a few lately, and they're pretty good. I like it.
Your porter now, is that what you're brewing right now for the season coming up, or what do you have brewing now? Do you do that? Do you prep for seasons? Like, are you planning a brew day for October, November drinking?
Yeah. I think I want to do the porter for like a winter beer to have on tap. Right now I have a saison in the keg, and that's pretty much it. And then I just brewed the blonde, but that's for a little festival that I'm going to be pouring at coming up in October. I'm pretty excited about. It's the first festival I'm ever pouring my own beer at, so it's like a little nerve wracking. But definitely the porter I wanna nail down for like winter drinking. But a few friends of mine, like within the homebrew club, there's people that live closer to me in the Valley area, and we've kind of got some plans brewing up for like winter stuff. We're trying to get a barrel, so hopefully we can have something for next winter to like barrel age. I think that would be really awesome.
Dang, talk about like that'd be a great upgrade, and that's perfect for me to. Before we wrap up the whole show, what I'd like to ask when we do these homebrewer showcase episodes is like, what is your dream scenario in regards to like your equipment, with like brewing, and would you ever like, is the goal for you just to enjoy life and homebrewing is a part of it, or to make brewing like take that next step into being a pro brewer?
Yeah, I think I definitely would love to work in beer. I don't know if I want to be a professional brewer, but I am looking into other avenues within like the craft beer business. So I actually just enrolled in I think it's Portland State's craft beer business like certificate course. So I'm going to start that actually tomorrow. So that should be interesting. So yeah, I mean, even at the summit, I was just talking to, people that work in malting and people that work in breweries and people that work in even like softwares that, breweries use. Cause I'm a project manager at a production company. So I think in terms of my skill set, I could maybe find ways to use those same skill sets within like the craft beer business. So ultimately I would love to work in craft beer. I don't know if that means being a brewer, or if that means, working in distributing, or if that means working in like homebrewing equipment. I'm not really sure. I'm still kind of like discovering different avenues, but definitely want to work in beer. And in terms of equipment, I think what I have is good for now. I think my biggest upgrade that I want is a pump because I'm just like so sick and tired of trying to pick up, big, 6 gallons of hot, steaming liquid that can possibly like ruin my whole life. Spill it on myself.
minor detail. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So I think, I just want to invest in a pump for now. And I love homebrewing as a hobby. I think, homebrewing as a hobby is great, very therapeutic for me. And it's helped me to, make a lot of new friends and meet a lot of new people and learn so much more. Learn just a lot of stuff in general. So I think as a hobby, it's just, I recommend it to anyone interested. And like I said before, like find a club because that just makes everything a lot better. You can brew with people, you can learn a lot of new stuff and get a glimpse into people's, systems too. I think that's probably the best part as well as seeing how everyone brews in their own unique styles. So
yeah, and collaboration and learning. Yeah. There's a lot of pros for community. So, like I had mentioned before, people can find you at Tyler's Brew on Instagram. What other information can people find out? I think it's at SoCal Cerveceros and SoCal Cerveceros. I don't know if there's anything more where people can find what you're doing and what your club's up to.
Yeah, I think in terms of following me, that's pretty much it. Tyler's Brew. And then the Cerveceros page is actually SC Cerveceros. But yeah, SoCal Cerveceros, follow them and give us a shout out. And if you're in the area, please come to a meeting. We meet once a month, usually at a different brewery within like the LA area. So definitely hit us up and come hang out.
My goal for 2020 is to get Todd to fly us out there and to hang out with you guys because y'all's get-togethers look so much fun. Holy moly, they look fun. It just it reminds me a lot of the get-togethers like I had growing up on my mom's side. Just fun, good food, beer. It's like a family reunion. No kidding. Yeah, I will try to fit in as best as possible. But anyway, Tyler, thank you so much for taking the time. I really appreciate on the weekend, nonetheless, you coming and doing the show with me. And thank you for laughing at my unfunny jokes before we were recording and all that. I really appreciate your time. And hopefully we have you on again in the future. Talk about when you get that electric system or whatever ends up happening. We'll talk. But thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. I love your show. And I just appreciate you taking the time to chat about homebrew. I love it.
Oh, thank you. Oh, I love ending with me getting compliments. Oh, all right. Thank you. We'll talk to you later. And that will do it for this episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. If you have a question you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, go to homebrewhappyhour.com and click on the submit a question link at the top of the page, or now you can call or text them in by using 325-305-6107. Remember that these episodes are ultimately made possible by people like you. We thank you for checking out our newly launched Patreon at patreon.com/homebrew happy hour. Thank you again to my wonderful guest, Tyler Sadler, for coming on the show. Follow her on Instagram at Tyler's Brew. On behalf of the Pearl Media Network, I'm Joshua Stubing. Thank you for listening.
This program is made possible by the checkbook of Mr. Todd Burns and by contributions to our newly launched Patreon by viewers like you. Visit patreon.com/homebrew happy hour and join our community. Thank you.